In MATLAB, types are called classes. Here are the basic types. First of all, for numbers, we have real numbers, and for that we have double, which is the default, and single. For integers that store both negative and positive numbers, we have int 8, int 16, int 32, and int 64. For unsigned integers that only store positive numbers, we have uint 8, uint 16, uint 32, and uint 64. Note that for all number variables and expressions, double is the default type. For characters, we have the type char, C-H-A-R, and that's both for single characters or strings of characters, and both of those are enclosed inside of single quotes. There's also a built-in type called logical, which stores true and false values. So again, for integer types, there are both signed and unsigned integer types. Signed types store both positive and negative numbers. Unsigned types don't store the sign, so they store only positive numbers. Now, the number that is in the name for an integer type is the number of bits that's used to store values of that type. So for example, the type name int8 and also the type name uint8, the 8 in there says the number of bits that are used to store values of that type. So both of these types store 2 to the 8th, or in other words 256 different integers total. Int8, since it stores signed types, stores values in the range from negative 128 to positive 127. Don't forget the zeros in there. And for uint8, it's not storing the sign, it only stores positive numbers, so those values range from 0 to 255. So this is true for all of the integer types. The number that's in the type name is the number of bits used to store values in that type. There are built-in functions called int min and int max that will return the maximum and the minimum values in any integer type. What you do is you pass the name of the type as a string to the int min and the int max function. So for example, if I say int min in parentheses the string int 8, it shows me the minimum value in the type int 8, which is negative 128, or int max of int 8 is 127. So for again the type int 8, the values range from negative 128 to positive 127. So you can use the int min and int max function for any of the integer types. And similarly, there are built-in functions real min and real max for the real types, for double and single. The class function in MATLAB will return the class of any expression or variable. So again, in other words, the type. So if I said class of 2.5, again, the default type for any number expression is going to be double. So the class of that expression is double. The who's command will show variables and also show the type, and again, in other words, the class, and the number of bytes used to store the variable. So here's a sequence where I first of all cleared to get rid of all variables that I might have. Then I created a mynum variable and initialized it to have the value 11. So the default would be that right now mynum is the type or the class double. But then I'm going to take mynum and change the type to be int16. So I'm taking that expression and storing it back in mynum. So in other words, I'm not changing the value that's in mynum, that's still 11, but I'm changing the type of the variable from double to int16. And then if I then type the command who's, that's going to show me all the variables I have, and right now I only have one variable, mynum. You see that it has 2 bytes, so it's storing 16 bits altogether, which is 2 bytes, and the class is int16. So any type name can be used as a function to convert an expression to that type. So for example, here I'm creating a variable mynum, which is 11. The class of the variable is double, that's the default. And then I'm changing the class of mynum to be the type int32.